Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Laymen Daily Show. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Love you, appreciate you. Great to see everyone here. How's everyone going in the chat today? I saw some people already talking. It's good to have a nice community, all nicely chatting. Slightly debating, but chatting. It's lovely. Got a bit of news today. We've got Xbox and Sony. Their little disagreement continues to fire up. Shazam seems like it's already thrown in the towel. I'm going to be honest here, okay? They've completely thrown in the towel. Shazam was not a hit. That movie was not a hit. And thirdly, no more Xbox emulation. Seems to be the case. Let's get to the drop. Let's get to the news. And let's get into it, everybody. All right. How's everyone in the chat? I love asking that before I start. How's everyone in the chat? Yeah, CJ, hands up. Let's go. Dillinger, thanks for tuning in, man. Got multiple platforms today, streaming on Twitch, Kick, Facebook, for all the boomers, and YouTube, of course. It's good to see everybody here, guys. So who's been following this whole Activision debacle? Miami, woo! Woo to you too, my friend. Woo to you too, my friend. Who's been following this whole Sony Activision Xbox debacle? It's been a thing now for a few months, let's be honest now, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. Now, I do think that Xbox is going to win this. I do think that. But Sony just keeps coming out with more and more, look at this, but have you considered this? By the way, we will never recover from this. This is the latest thing, right? Jim Ryan, the CEO of PlayStation, Sony Interactive Entertainment, in the company's response to the UK regulator, the Competition and Marketing Authority, addendum stated that PlayStation would never recover. It would just never recover. It doesn't have any exclusives. It doesn't have majority of the market share. It's screwed. It's ruined. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know what to do. If Microsoft were to release a degraded version of Call of Duty on PlayStation, if its acquisition of Activision Blizzard were to be approved. Well, okay then. So this is just kind of getting more and more, if they get this, we're screwed. It's not only like we think this is unfair competition. Now it's more like, if this is approved, we're just going to pack it in. There is no more Sony. There is no more PlayStation. God of War Ragnarok 2, we can't do it. Activision's acquisition went through. There's just no point for us anymore. Ryan said, a degraded version of Call of Duty on PlayStation would severely damage our reputation. Our gamers would divert our platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover. I mean, come on now. Yeah, like I was playing Call of Duty the other day and I was teabagging someone and paying out their mum because that's what you do when you're playing Call of Duty, and I fell through the level. That level of degraded experience with Call of Duty, I'm out. Come on, everybody. Let's go to Xbox. I mean, this is just ridiculous, right? Come on. The addendum appears to ignore this testimony, together with other evidence showing the sensitivity of gamers, and assumes that even though Call of Duty is acknowledged to be important for console competition, it could be degraded without causing gamers to switch, reads the response from Sony Interactive Entertainment. This speculation is unsubstantiated, inconsistent with the facts, and cannot rationally support a decision to find that no SLC, which is significant lessening of competition, will arise in the consoles. So where do we start with this? I mean, this is no, okay? If Activision has a 10-year deal with Sony, Sony is not over. Sony is not over. Sony will be fine, right? Now, there's people on both sides here. Some people are saying this is going to be really bad for the industry. Before I started, someone from Twitch actually, Alucard, while you're alive, where's Shilla? Where is Skill Up? Where the hell is Skill Up, huh? Doing a review of the Mario movie. Check that out, guys, also. I saw before I started, actually, someone said, how can anyone celebrate Microsoft buying Activision? This acquisition will jumpstart corporations owning the biggest entertainment companies. Do we really want that? And I think that's a really good point, and I think we should actually explore that. Will the Activision purchase be a precedent set that other big companies can then start being purchased? Like Take-Two or, EA I mean, those are going to be on the table now, right? And I think that a negative byproduct of this would be like everyone's up for grabs, everyone's just being bought, but the companies still have to decide to be bought, right? Like they can't just be like, whoa, Activision's been bought, looks like you got to own us now. You know, it's not going to be like that, you know, like Activision going through with Xbox does set a precedent, and it's going to be the biggest gaming acquisition we've ever seen. But that doesn't necessarily mean that other publishers and big developers are naturally going to follow suit and start being gobbled up by these big corporations. I will say, though, that maybe Sony is going to start feeling like, oh my God, we've really got to react to this if this acquisition does go through. And huge offers for EA and Take-Two and Ubisoft might start kind of flooding their way. If we see a world where all corporations are owned by Sony and Xbox, I mean, that sucks, right? We don't want that. We want to have a diversification of different IP in the way in which that, you know, the gaming is very creative naturally, right? We want to have different companies working on different things and kind of bringing out their own ideas and competing with one another. The problem with Ubisoft, as we've seen in the last, few years at least, is everything's just been amalgamated into this one idea. How do we monetize it as best as possible? And how do we ultimately just make it feel like it's the same shit over and over again and make the same blueprint because we felt like one game sold really well and it was monetized correctly. So now we just got to take that model and just move it over, you know? Yes, we don't want that. We don't want one or two companies owning everything. But I think it's a big jump to say that just because the Activision goes through, other publishers are going to be owned also. Justin from Twitch says, I mean, Xbox did state that they have many other acquisitions coming in in interviews a little prior to the Activision deal. Yes, there's also another acquisition that has gone through that we'll be talking about later today. But this is all in conjunction with the CMA actually changing the way in which they looked at this whole deal, right? So the CMA originally was like, you know what, we think this is going to be bad for competition. We don't really love this idea. Xbox went back to them and said, you know what, we think your figures are wrong here. We're not trying to tell you that you're wrong, but you're wrong. So they went back and they said, you know what, we'll look at the figures again. They came back and said, you know what, we agree with Xbox. We don't think that the figures that we had projected over a 5-year period were actually correct in terms of how much anti-competitiveness might come about. So they've actually changed and they've said that the CMA is now quite happy with this deal potentially going through. Not quite happy at least, but they've narrowed their scope, they've said, with some of the problems that they had with them. So I think this is going to be potentially going ahead. And if it goes ahead, then Xbox is going to be on the Activision is going to be on the books of Xbox, and some other person also in the chat. I saw that too before, talking about Diablo 5. If this thing goes through, is Diablo 5 going to be on the platform? Is it going to be exclusive? I mean, time will tell, right? We've seen with Elder Scrolls, we've seen with Starfield that they're going to be exclusives, right? So there is a precedent there when it comes to Bethesda. But will it make financial sense? So Xbox has come out also, weeks and weeks ago saying it's not fun. It doesn't make financial sense for them to actually do this, right? To put Call of Duty on one platform financially, they need to make sure that this is making sense for them. They've, tens of billions of dollars they've put into this. The way in which they can recoup those funds and make sure that Activision is performing in its best abilities is to make sure it's on all platforms. It's also coming to Switch. I mean, how the hell is that coming to Switch? Truly. I mean, that is a good review right there. That's a good review to see how that actually plays on Switch. I'd love to see. Omar says, I prefer consoles to have a nice first-party exclusive. The system has different architecture, so designing a high-quality version for one platform is a big enough undertaking. I agree with that. And I understand what you're saying in terms of having first-party exclusives. It's an undertaking, you got to get it right, and on top of that, you got to stay competitive, and that's the big problem with this. Xbox doesn't really have, if we're being honest here, we don't love attacking Xbox for their exclusives, but we kind of do. They don't have any real exclusives right now that are selling consoles. They have exclusives that gave birth to the Xbox, Halo Combat Evolved, it gave birth to the Xbox. It really did. And Phil Spencer's actually said that in an interview, that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Halo. But, the problem that we're seeing right now with a lot of these, exclusives that Xbox is coming out with, although some of them are fine. I mean, people like Forza, some people like Halo Infinite, it's not great. It wasn't amazing. But the problem here is they're actually not competing in a way that they're selling consoles, and they're not actually bringing out their figures. PlayStation continues to say, hey, look at our figures. We're just selling so many. Switch is the same. Switch is like, we've sold so many consoles. Xbox is like, what's that? You're wondering how many consoles we've... I couldn't hear you, sorry. A bit deaf. Couldn't hear what you asked. Sorry. Missed the question. Let's move on. That's what they're like. They don't really want to tell us how much they're selling. I would suspect because they're selling so many. Right? Sivo says, COD ain't coming to Switch, but maybe next-gen Nintendo. I thought it was coming to Switch. Yeah, there's a deal that they're doing with Call of Duty. If it's not coming to this Switch, then it's definitely coming to the next Switch. Absolutely. Super Saiyan says, Halo and a KOTOR for me and my brother to buy an Xbox back in the day. KOTOR was the shit, man. I can't believe that they put that remake on hold. But KOTOR was the shit. Halo, man. I mean, Halo... It also revolutionized for me, in my understanding, multiplayer console gaming. That was the first one that really put it on the map. It made it really feel like, oh my God, console online multiplayer is here, and Xbox did that, So there's been some fundamental, groundbreaking things from Xbox back in the day, and of course in the Xbox 360, they did a very good job in competing with PlayStation. If not, they beat PlayStation. Xbox 360 was the dominant console for that generation. PlayStation 3 was not. The pricing was wrong, and all in all, it just didn't compete. And then Xbox One came around, and that was a meme. It did fine, but it didn't ultimately do as well as it could have, and PlayStation 4 dominated the market, and the exclusives and the overall quality of PlayStation continued to rise. So because of that, we've just seen a slowly but sure shift from seeing a very, very competitive market between the two to making it quite clear that PlayStation is the winner. In other news, oh my God, this is the quickest digital release I think I've ever seen in my life. Truly, I don't think we've ever seen a big AAA within 3.5 weeks or something go to digital. It's going to Blockbuster. It feels like Blockbuster. This feels like Shazam Blockbuster. Shazam Fury of the Gods releases on digital tomorrow. Shazam, God, I couldn't even say it. God, the meme is just flowing out of me. Fury of the Gods will be available on digital beginning April 7th, less than a month after its theatrical release. Less than a month, man. So I feel like it's given in. It doesn't want to have to sit in the cinemas anymore with empty rows. I didn't see it. I mean, we're just seeing the general consensus here, right? No one really said this was fantastic. I think the viewership also speaks volumes. If a movie is absolutely fantastic, right? People are going to go tell their friends and family, oh my God, I saw Shazam. It was so good. Got to go see it. Word of mouth, marketing campaign, all that kind of stuff, right? And that whole feud between The Rock and Zack, oh my God, it just feels a bit ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, digital so quick, man. That's crazy, isn't it? Feel bad for that movie. Maybe I should just do a post-mortem review. That's a good idea. What do you think? PS3 sold more than the 360 in the end run. By the end of it, did it? Okay, fair enough. But I think we can all agree that the 360 was the dominant platform. There was even with Call of Duty, there was actually exclusive deals with Call of Duty with Xbox. Sony didn't like that back then, but it was because that Xbox was being the dominant console. It had a lot of people there, and it made financial sense for Activision back then to kind of make those exclusivity deals with certain content going on the Xbox 360. PlayStation didn't like that, and then PlayStation 4 became the dominant place for Call of Duty, and then they did the same thing, Halo's been pretty dead since Reach. Last Halo I thoroughly enjoyed. All right, man. I mean, it might be Reach. I liked ODST. I didn't like Halo 5. God, I thought that was me and Ralph actually before he was even doing YouTube. I was doing YouTube. We finished that together, and we laughed all the way through. We're just like, oh my God, what's going on here? This is horrendous. Stephen P. Mike Oxlong. That is a childish joke, and I will say it because I am childish. Omar, Microsoft being successful with Xbox 360 was an anomaly. The rest of their track record with hardware has been failures. Well, I would say that Xbox, the original Xbox, was a trendsetter. It had a lot of great IP. It entered the market. It was a tough job to enter the market. As we've seen from other consoles like, the Dreamcast, not every single console makes it. They made it. So even if they didn't actually sell as many as they would have liked, to enter the market and become a dominant player still feels to me like that was a success. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is 155 gigabytes on PC. This feels like this is like Call of Duty game news as well as Call of Duty references. Man, this feels like a Call of Duty game. I mean, that is a lot. 155 gigabytes on PC. That is massive. That is truly massive. For a single player experience too, this is probably going to be 15, 20 hours. The first one was about 15 or 16 hours. I finished it in one day. Loved it, right? But I didn't expect the next one to be so big. Oh, it's so big. Oh my God, it's so big. And this just in, Northwest and Kim Kardashian's TikTok account has been banned. No one cares. All right, Cyrus. Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries DLC patch is out now. Everybody. Go play that shit, right? Check it out. Now, apparently I have heard some very disappointing microtransaction news. I'll probably cover that on Monday when I get a bit more clarity on that. But 4 characters have been released: Leon, Luis, Krauser, and Hunk. I want to play as the Hunk, because of course I'm a hunk. Blaze says Jedi Survivor will definitely be longer than 20 hours. I think so too, man. I feel like it's going to be longer than 20 hours. I mean, they can't actually deliver a game that's 155 gigabytes unless it's not going to be sizably bigger. At least in terms of the world and what you can at least do in that. I mean, I don't know if the main story might be the same, but maybe that lends to the idea that, hey, there's going to be a lot to do in this game. Yeah, so apparently there is some disappointing news regarding the microtransactions with this game. It's a real shame. Data mining for this Mercenaries has also shown that you can potentially play as Ada later on. Ooh, we want to play as Ada. Oh yeah, we do. All right, PC Game Show will be returning on June 11th. E3 cancelled. E3 a meme. Doesn't matter. PC Game Show will be returning June 11th. All the major shows are coming back still, right? So a 2023 edition of PC Game Show will be broadcast on Twitch and other video platforms on Sunday, June 11th. The PC Gaming Show will follow Xbox Game Showcase and Xbox planned Starfield Direct presentation. So it's coming right after that. It's going to be a big day, a big week for gaming. It's going to be a huge week for gaming. It always is. It's going to be fantastic. And without E3, yes, we're going to feel like we're missing a little bit here. But all in all, a lot of the major presentations are going ahead. We have Summer Games Fest. Jeff Keighley, of course, is kind of taking up the mantle of E3. He's going to be trying to do all sorts of big things here. And I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we may feel like E3 is just Summer Games Fest now. I think that transition has been happening now for a couple of years. Jeff Keighley, as I've said before, he's the right man for the job at the right time, with the right tools. He can do it. Absolutely. What else here? Syringe says, PC Gaming Show, not the same without that hotline Frankie they used to have on. Was that the girl? If I remember correctly, I think I was at a PC Gaming show event once in E3, and it was a really great experience. Now, the thing about PC Gaming Show for me is it's very long, right? That's the first thing. But it's very important, I think, in the E3 week. Well, I'm still calling it the E3 week, all right? Whatever. There's a lot of games that aren't able to be included in the Sony presentation or the Xbox presentation or the Nintendo presentation, right? This is a space where a lot of AAA or even smaller titles that won't be able to be on any other person's presentation, they can find a home. They can talk about their game. They can tell an audience about a game that's going to be coming out that it just allows the gaming community to see a host of different games, not just aligned with one particular platform. So PC Game Show is very, very important. It started in 2015, I believe. Yeah, when we launched PC Game Show back in 2015. Yeah. So it's very important, and it is the place for me that I feel like I can get the most kind of diversity in terms of gaming, to see what other types of gaming. Steve-O says, Frankie, hottie. Is Frankie a hottie? Is that what you're saying, Steve-O? Horny jail. Bonk. Horny jail. Now, this is funny. Okay, so as we spoke about recently, EA lost the rights to FIFA, as we know, so they've brought out their own soccer game. It's going to be called EA Sports FC. I think it's a terrible name, firstly. And they've brought out some logos. The logos are very pointy. Okay, as IGN says. Very pointy. I think that's a terrible logo. I'm sorry, but that doesn't really say anything about soccer. But they've tried to justify it by doing this. So, because the little triangle thing's on the top of the head, that's why. Right? That's why. No other game has ever put a triangle on some sort of teammate's head or like your head so you know where you're at. Like that's so FIFA, man. That's so EA. I just think it's terrible. I mean, it just looks horrendous. It has no it has no character. It has no it doesn't have any pizzazz. It doesn't say anything, right? It looks like I've got a whiteboard marker and just like taken a bit off of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, sorry, shit, I rubbed out half the word, my bad. You just have to try and read it. Do you know what I'm saying? Doesn't look good at all. Yeah, so, I'm just looking at chat here, just making sure that I haven't missed anything in the chat. I don't want to miss anything in the chat. That's all. What else, guys? Jeff Keighley, get ready. Gamescom opening night live returns live on Tuesday, August 22nd from, I'm not even going to try and say that, Kolmnes. Think I'm saying that in Germany. Koelmnes. There we go. Guys, you come here for the right pronunciation live, okay? Excited to be back in Cologne with the fans and industry streaming video games news directly to you. That's going to be great. So look, I mean, it's all full steam ahead. We're seeing a lot of announcements, and all like the major announcements are always kind of in the middle of the year. No panache, Omar says. I agree. There's no panache here, man. Look at this. No panache. And I will say, actually, sorry, before we move on, well, we've covered that story now. So Gamescom coming back, August, all very excited. No panache whatsoever for this logo, and this is actually connected to FIFA, of course, losing the rights, and then the FIFA president Gianni Infantino coming out and saying the new FIFA game that we're going to be making. So FIFA's going to be making their own game, right? The new FIFA game, the FIFA 25, 26, and 27, and so on, will also be the best e-game for any girl or boy. Now, I covered this a few weeks ago. Anyone that calls something an e-game is a hardcore dev. I mean, that's when you know. Have you guys played the new E game from Metal Gear Solid? He's a really cool E character. I'm very excited for that game. Yeah, that's not a good sign. That's all we need to read. One single sentence to know this is doomed. Look, who knows? It could be cool, right? But like, as much as we don't love EA, one thing they do have is experience. Experience to extort people out of their money. But they also know how to make video games, right? They know how to do this. They have an established studio, and they've established names in the industry with multiple titles. So I wonder what this FIFA game is going to be like, and if it has anything on what EA and their FIFA games have been slowly getting better at over the last 20 years, Sam is back is good. Oh, man. I'm glad to be back, man. Thanks, Steve-O. I appreciate you, buddy. Bethesda, speaking of news from Bethesda and Xbox acquiring games, because if Bethesda acquires a game, it's really Xbox. Let's be honest. Bethesda acquires Nemesis Games. Now, Nemesis Games does a lot of it helps a lot of AAA games do little bits and pieces, maybe the smaller work to get that title ready. So it's more like a support studio than it is to actually bring out its own games. So what's funny about this is, interestingly, the acquisition seemingly occurred late last year. However, it was only just discovered due to low-key nature of the purchase. The newly branded ZeniMax Online Studios Hungary said, "We have been working on many aspects of their flagship title, Elder Scrolls Online, as well as other unannounced titles." They've been working on things, they've been working on Elder Scrolls Online, but they're not working on Elder Scrolls. What's happening with Elder Scrolls? We haven't seen anything apart from like a logo and some grass for like 4 years. Feels like we need to know a little bit more now. E-gamers united in arms. We are. E-gamers are all together now. We're fighting the good E-fight against EA. What else? Okay, this is great. I love this. Mods or bugs section. Let's do it. This is great. I want to play this actually. I want to find these mods and actually play this shit.
I get the biz, I got people in the cook, a bit falling down, maybe they sit on my wrist. They said it was Sunday, look, keep us some cheese. I told them this fuck 'em, I'm already rich. GBC just asked me if I got to talk about.
Holy shit. How mad is that? Oh, man. There's the easy mode. As I was saying yesterday, here's an easy mode. Just get in the jet and one-shot a boss. This boss was so freaking hard. Honestly. I forgot his name now. Shit. What's his name again? What's his name? Comment section, help me out. They work on games one game at a time now. You mean the FIFA game, or you mean the EA Studios? Sam, you don't sing enough on the stream. I should sing. See, what we'll do is I'll sing at the end so you guys know, oh my god, I'm out. So I just clear the stream out. That's the way to do it. Rodan, that's right. Rodan, thank you. Ryden from Twitch, I appreciate that. What is FC short for? EAFC? I actually don't even know. Just fucking crap. That's what it is. It's EA fucking crap. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you EA fucking crap. Monetization, predatory gambling, and you better believe it. We're gonna take all the money from you if we can. Oh my god. Now, this is interesting. Agony spin-off Succubus VR has been banned from Steam. Ooh, really? Mad My Studios, the developer behind horny, hell-based horror games like Agony, has had one of its upcoming releases removed from Steam. Now, the reason I bring this in is a lot of games on Steam, if they're like horny jail, right? Very rarely will they actually be anticipated to be released, and then they're just like, no, you're gone. You know, that doesn't usually happen, right? This has been marketed, and it's been apparently going to be coming out on Steam, but all of a sudden, it's gone. It's gone. The page, Succubus Hellish Orgy. So it's called Succubus Hellish Orgy VR was removed, remaining visible only on Steam DB, despite the fact that the 2D version of Succubus is still up for sale. Some features available in the VR version are just too disturbing and immersive to be released on Steam, they said. And they also said Valve banned it for its drastic content, and Steam has decided to ban the game without giving us the ability to make changes, patches, or censorship. So here's the thing, guys. Part of my journalistic responsibility to the viewers is to not only report the news, but to experience it. So what I thought I would do, begrudgingly, is play the game, see what it's like, and see if it's justified that Steam has taken it off. Because, you know, you guys deserve to know, ultimately. See, look, I'll play it only a little bit. Like, I might play like 30 or 40 hours. And then I'll report back to you what it's like in detail. There's so many horny jail games on Steam, man. What's up with that? Why is Steam the one that just gets thrown with so many of those? Raiden says, why are they taking my hentai games away? It's a shame. Lisa from Facebook, thanks for tuning in. Yes, play the Succubus game. I can't play this on stream, right? Let's be honest. That would get me permanently banned. Speaking of permanently banned, I don't know if this is a segue, but whatever. A TV series about the founders of the Pirate Bays and the works. That's kind of cool. Wouldn't it be super meta if we're just like, let's pirate it. Let's go to Pirate Bay and find the show. I think that would be a great story. Like LimeWire. Remember back in the day when LimeWire was the way that you like got all your music? And you're like, oh my God, I'm breaking the law. Shit. FBI, open up. I felt so like, I mean, it's not like I ever downloaded music from LimeWire or got anything from Pirate Bay. Of course not. Did you? Yeah, so I'm actually excited to see what this is. I mean, this is kind of cool, right? I mean, Pirate Bay did revolutionize, I think, the way in which that, like, movies in general had to, like, change how they were going to be delivered to audiences, because the music industry struggled hard, and then iTunes and streaming and then Spotify, like, they found a way to kind of, like, find their feet again. Although people don't love how much streamers are paid, and let me tell you, I know, because I'm on Spotify for my music. Check it out. And it's like pennies, right? It's pennies. For all the billions of plays that I've received, it's pennies, man. So look, I don't think that the, all in all, I don't think that the average creator of any music artist has actually benefited from streaming. And it's the same with movies, I'm sure, right? Netflix and all that. I'm sure these companies are not making as much as they would have if you went in and bought a DVD. If you stream a movie on Netflix, is Paramount or is Universal getting as much as they used to get if you went and bought something on CD, on DVD? Probably not. But I want to see what this is. This looks like it has promise. I haven't seen a single thing. I'm like, it looks like it has promise. It looks good. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing here. But who knows? Right. LimeWire killed my first PC. Yeah, well, that was the thing, right? It was a bit virus roulette. So you're like, okay, am I going to be downloading the So Fresh album, or am I getting some viruses? Oh, it says beautiful women are in my area that want to talk to me right now. Well, of course they do. This isn't a scam. What are you talking about? Speaking of, this isn't a segue. Speaking of scams, whatever. The Super Mario Bros. Movie expected to rake in $141 million in the opening weekend. Now, I covered this yesterday, but what I wanted to bring up is apparently, where is it? Apparently, there it is. Apparently, Super Mario Bros. Movie made $67 million in the film's opening day. I thought the projections were like 31 million, but this has been brought out to say $67 million. It's also expected to make all the money this weekend. Along this Easter weekend, a lot of people are home, a lot of people are chilling. Totally makes sense. Bruce says, Sam, I'm so glad you are back to having some fun with us again. I love having fun with you guys. Group fun. That's the best fun, guys. Am I right? Ah, dear. So look, you know what? I think this is, as I said before, a great movie. I did a review on it. I'm very excited to see what everyone else thinks. Now, I love this.
Right now, I'm gonna jump down there and I'm gonna clear us a path.
What about me?
You stay here.
This is so stupid. We'd have more of a fucking chance if you let me help.
I am. You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
Well, I sort of shot a rifle before, but it was at rats.
Rats?
With BBs.
With BB
It's the
guns.
same basic concept. Lift it up. All right, now. You're gonna lean right into that stock, because it is gonna kick a hell of a lot more than any baby rifle.
I just love what these mods are doing. Like, mods, I don't know, I just get so fascinated with mods. Like, I just think it's so cool. The amount of work they have to put in, they have to, like, get the assets over, make sure it works, fit it all. I mean, what do I know? I don't know what they're doing. All I know is it looks hard. It looks goddamn hard, and this looks really freaking good. It looks really freaking good. Mods. What else? Okay. I watched this, right? And you tell me if they look like they play video games.
It's hard to pick. It's like, what's the best song of all time?
Yeah,
It's like, it's impossible to say. But I don't think it's Super Mario 64.
What would you say is
The best video game of all time?
some example. The Last of Us has been thrown out there. Tony Hawk's
Oh, they didn't say that.
2.
That's pretty good.
Oh man, that was good.
That was good.
That was really good.
I mean, am I just the only one that's sitting there just like, oh, so what's your favorite video game? Oh, favorite video game? Shit, Charlie Day, help me. I love them all. God, I play all the video games. Mario 64, because I know that because I played in the movie, but apart from that, I've got no other. They didn't look like they knew what they were talking about. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
The best song of all time.
Yeah.
Let's just see the moment that he panics.
You know, it's like, it's impossible to say,
Is it impossible to say? I'm not sure.
but I don't think it's Super Mario 64.
What would you say?
Oh, I feel like Charlie Day was like, we shouldn't be saying that Mario isn't the best game. We're here to promote Mario.
64.
What would you say is?
He's like, no, of course not. They're like, for the love of God, we don't know any other titles. I love heaps of games. I love Candy Crush. Candy Crush, guys. Candy Crush is my favorite game, right, Charlie? Yes, Chris. Of course it is. It's the greatest game. Absolutely. That's LeBron level of lying. It looks a little bit lying here, right? It looks a bit sus. Oh, and of course I like, as Marky said, Marky meant the Lego Movie video game. Oh, that's great. Thank God the interviewer said something about Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk is a good game, but they didn't say. Let's just say that they do play video games, and they mentioned Last of Us, and this was their response.
Is
The best video game?
yeah. For example, The Last of Us has been thrown out there.
His face doesn't seem like he's loving The Last of Us, if he is a gamer, but I don't think so, right? Yeah, Succubus, Raiden. That's right. Succubus VR best game. That's what he should have said. Damn, he missed out, Chris Pratt. He missed out on saying what we really want him to say. Because of course, you know, Chris Pratt, he's a dude. He's a dude. He played some VR Succubus, Orgy Glory, or whatever that stupid game's called. Another thing, Microsoft escalates war against PlayStation Nintendo emulation on Xbox Series X. So, the Xbox Series X S is unprecedented among consoles in letting users easily emulate older games. When it launched in 2020, new owners discovered the ability to install emulators that could play classic PlayStation 2 and GameCube games on it. That's still possible with paid access to the console's developer mode, but Microsoft had now locked down that feature in standard retail mode. Here's the thing, right? I think emulation is it should be part of the industry in a small capacity, right? If a game's still out and like a publisher, maybe like a small publisher or like a dev is like trying to make their way or whatever, and everyone's just like pirating their games, or like, okay, pirating is different to emulation. Okay, emulation is completely different. You're right. But I will say that emulation needs to be there, right? Because if you're not having somewhere you can play a game that came out 30 years ago and you can't find it anywhere, you can't purchase it anywhere, the developers and publishers refuse to remaster it or remake it or whatever, and you want to play a game that you played, like Wind Waker. If you don't have an Xbox, if you don't have a GameCube, how the hell are you playing Wind Waker? That's what I want to know. It's very hard, you know? So I think it's an essential part of the industry. It's a niche, it's a small part, and majority of people will not go to the trouble to do this, but it's a shame that this has gone. Now, if this was a rampant problem and it was like, but it's not, right? Like, I mean, whoever wants to play a few games that came out 20 years ago, who gives a shit, right? And if it comes out on Switch, if Wind Waker came out on Switch, I probably would just buy it on there. And most people, I think, that they don't have access to a GameCube anymore, they don't have the game and they don't have any way of playing it, and it was released on the right platforms, most people would honor that by purchasing it, right? I think they would. I think they would be like, oh man, like, Wind Waker's out, holy hell yeah, I'm gonna play this, you know? Metroid's a perfect example. Metroid Prime sold extremely well. It's been one of the stronger sales for the franchise, and that shows that plenty of people can still emulate it on some platform, or, you know, boot up their GameCube, but they're actually fundamentally in droves coming to play this game, coming to play Metroid. So I think this is sad news. This is really sad news. Really sad news. It doesn't seem like he plays video games. That's what I thought, Lisa. That's exactly what I thought, honestly, legit. I was like, you look a little bit like you're acting, Chris Pratt. All right, stop being a brat, Chris Pratt. Who's excited for this? Releases on the 19th of April, I believe. Let me just double check that. 19th of April, all the Final Fantasies 1 to 5, 1 to 6, all in one game. Very cool. So look, it's just, if you love Final Fantasy, there it is. That trailer released yesterday. It's coming on the 19th of April. This is already available on Steam, I believe, if you haven't played it already. But this feels like a game I'd want to play on Switch. You know? You could emulate this. You could emulate a lot of these games, right? But they're releasing on Switch, and I think this will sell relatively well. But, you know, this is also, I think, quite niche. I mean, there was a long journey before we started seeing the likes of Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8 in terms of their overall quality. But Final Fantasy 6 is one of the greatest games people feel like the Final Fantasy franchise has ever made. FF4 is great, Calverin says. I have never played it. I played a little bit of 6. Played 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 a little bit. And that's pretty much it. I really like the 3D remakes of FF3 and 4. I didn't even know they made a 3D remake. Did they? Shit, okay. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. What else? Resident Evil has officially sold 4 million copies. That's a small news there. I mean, this just goes strength to strength. Again, oh my god, this just ties in beautifully. Again, you could emulate this. No, but this is a remake, right? This is a completely reimagining of so many things in terms of, you know, mechanics and how it feels, and the controller and the story and where certain stories end and start, and aesthetically, graphically, like there's so much to this, right? So yeah, that's not a fair argument. I just want to build up my emulation argument. That's what I want to do. But look, it's great to see this go strength to strength, and I think Resident Evil 5 is probably going to be the next one that they do. But like, people want to see other things, right? Do they want to see Code Veronica first, or they want to see other things, or maybe just like an actual remake of the first one? Because the first one was just a remaster, right? Unless it was a full remake. But I feel like Resident Evil 2 was the first proper remake they made of these. So some people feel like you should go back to the basics and actually do the OG. Now, this is interesting for all the Diablo fans out there. It's ultimately saying we're going to be seeing a lot of endgame. Expect a lot of endgame in this. This is just not campaign focused. We're going to be seeing a lot of very cool things when it comes to finishing the Diablo campaign, and then what's next.
We're going to have an entire world of Sanctuary to offer. There's never going to be an absence of something to do.
There's over 120 dungeons. Any one of them can become a nightmare dungeon.
They add a degree of difficulty for you and your group to work through.
There are parts of the world that we call the Fields of Hatred.
People who really love PvP, if that's the way they want to play, they can.
There's a lot more game to participate in. The campaign is just the beginning.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Look, as I said before, I did a little review of this. I thought it was fantastic. I think it's definitely feeling right. It's feeling somewhat fresh, but definitely just doing what it did before, right? It just, it definitely doesn't feel like it's strayed from what it knows it's best at. And that's what we really wanted. Now, Diablo Immortal, which we all loved, red shirt guy loved it. That was, I think, a pivotal moment, because it really made people feel like, whoa, Diablo feels a bit crummy now. And when I played this, I really felt like this was getting them back on track, and they needed to do that. This is one of their most important franchises. It's as simple as that in terms of Blizzard's franchises. For them to botch this after Diablo Immortal would have really cemented the fact that there's probably not a lot of... Look, there's always a future for Diablo, because we all love Diablo. It would have really made it quite unclear if we would have seen a Diablo 5 anytime soon. But now I think from the beta, it looks fantastic. It plays well. A lot of people are excited, and the general reviews of this have been really good. So I think this is definitely paving the way for a Diablo 5 once this launches, right? Let's just let this launch first, Sam. All right, can we just do that? Jeez. Richard Guy's a legend. And that's all the news for today, guys. There wasn't a lot of news. It was bits and pieces. Red Shirt Guy was, and he was a meme. And you know what? He he was used once or twice for the Laymen memes. He was used once or twice. Will Diablo 4 be a wreck on day one? Well, as you guys probably saw if you played at the beta, the wait times were horrendous, but it wasn't too bad. I would say that the bugs that I experienced were more like, oh, you dropped from server. That was kind of it. That was the only bugs that I experienced. So I don't feel like that warrants to say that this is in a buggy mess, because betas are for stress testing. It's like to figure out where this is at, what they need to improve, and how much capacity they'll need before launch, right? So if the game itself, the gameplay itself, I didn't experience any huge bugs in the gameplay. So I looked at that and thought, okay, cool, big tick. It dropping out because of server issues, that's for me a thing that they can actually fix, you know? You might get disconnected. Yes, exactly right. That's what happened. And Lisa says, just long wait times. Absolutely. Ryden from Twitch says, how's your brother Ralph doing? He's doing terribly. All right. Unsub from that loser. No, he's good, man. I went and saw Mario the other day with him, actually. He's doing good. He did his own review, actually, on Mario, the Mario movie too. Lisa said, for me anyway, but worth it. No bug issues. Me neither, Lisa. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was actually really good. Now, should we check Reddit before we finish for the day? Let's see what else is happening in the world of gaming. In the world of gaming. Where is it? Gaming news. Here it is. Succubus VR taken down. Top story. No. Yeah, so here, I'm gonna cover this more, I think, in detail on Monday. Resident Evil 4 Remake gets microtransaction DLC that lets you pay to upgrade your weapons. That's a real shame. Last of Us patch ensures characters don't end up inexplicably soaking wet. Damn it, I thought it was part of it, right? So as you guys saw probably from a few streams before, if you've watched it, is I showed a glitch that Joel and all the characters were just wet. They were dripping the whole time. But maybe it was because all the characters were talking to Joel because he's a sexy daddy. That's probably why. Early access to queue times. I was surprised how bad the queue times were for early access. For paid beta. For the paid beta, I paid for it. I was like, I'm going to play this game. Like, I don't want to do the free thing. I want to jump in. And I also wanted to talk about it, right? So I played it all weekend. And man, those queue times were horrendous. They were absolutely horrendous. Have you been watching for the Lies of P game? And do you think it will meet the hype? Or has it been overhyped? Lies of P, that's the one that looks like... oh my god, what's it? Bloodborne. Looks like Bloodborne, right? If that's the one you're talking about, that looks sick. That looks absolutely sick. I'm so excited for that. I really want to play that. It looks absolutely mad. Bloodborne PC never came. Bloodborne 2 never came. We definitely need something that fills the void, that fills the hole. Liam, LAMON, GAMON. Good to see you, man. Thanks so much for tuning in. I feel like Jersey Boy said, I feel like Diablo 4 and most long-running franchises have been dumbed down over the years because these companies are going to reach a wider audience. I get it's business and they want to make money. Bloodborne, yeah. Jersey Boy, like it's hard, right? Like you want to try and capture as much of an audience as possible, as well as retaining the basic DNA of that franchise. I think Diablo in the latest one I played, I felt like it did a good job of making me feel like I was playing OG Diablo, but also fresh. The cinematics felt fantastic. It felt like it actually had kind of moved away from, I'll play something in the background when we chat, moved away from like that whole cartoony look of Diablo 3. I just felt like that was just a misstep, right? The entire idea aesthetically for me when I played Diablo 4 or any Diablo is like, I want to feel like it's really dark, menacing, like truly evil. I want to like feel like I'm experiencing that, where Diablo 3 had just such a bright cartoony look, and it wasn't for me. Steve says, unsub from Chill Up. Joke, but seriously. Jokes, but seriously. I agree. Oh, do I? Nah, he's all right. Steve-O, good. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I appreciate everyone here from all the multiple platforms. You guys are great, and it's always good to hang with you guys. But that's kind of the news for today, guys. So that's it, really. I appreciate everyone being here. Lovely to have a chill chat with you. And GN Cable says, will Thick Boy ever come back to the stream? You know what? He might do something in the future. For sure, Thick Boy. I'll just like lure him here with some KFC. Nah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, my bro. He's a good dude. He might come back in the future. Look, I mean, this setup here is not ideal for two people, but We can make it work, absolutely. AJ says, this guy's saying the news is done and he didn't even react to the dev hour. Which is the dev hour? What have I missed? If anything, I will have to do that next stream, guys. But I really appreciate all your time. All the support is great. So, guys, thanks so much. Dev hour D's nuts. Thanks, fam. Cheers. Got done. Got done. Professionally done. AJ, I'll look out for that next time. Okay? Liam, bring back Thick Boy. Bring back Thick Boy. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Love you. Appreciate you. I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful long weekend for Easter. And I will probably see you on Monday my time, which is 2 days. I'll have tomorrow off because that is the day of rest. And then more news, reviews, and discussions next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Laymen out.